We have the player riding the spectral steed on this lawsuit lane. Why, hello there. It is 102 days until Elden Ring comes out on January 21st, 2022, and this is the Elden Wait. On today's episode of the Elden Wait, we will be talking about the latest Elden Ring tweet that came out on Friday, as well as a few new details that I've picked out and others have picked out from our current images and trailers. So let's get into it. First, we have the latest Elden Ring tweet, which was a new image, and the tweet says, "Thy spectral steed is nimble enough to scale the loneliest heights at the top of the world." And in the image, we see this very atmospheric snow zone, and I love a good snow zone, so I think this is a very nice shot, and I'm excited to look at this area. We have the player riding the spectral steed on this lawsuit lane over to these snow ruins in the distance. And it can be sort of hazy and hard to make out the distance, so I'll put up an image that more clearly shows the background just to get a sense of the space in the distance. In either case, this image doesn't give much information on the location. It is more of a mood piece, I would say. And this could be the same snowy place we've seen in the gameplay trailer, but it could also just be somewhere else that is very high up. And I think most people understand this, but I just want to point out that the snow here is not another weather effect. Like, this is a snowy area. There might be increased mist or increased snow at times, but this area will always be snowy. What is interesting to me in this image is that there is this symbol carved into the large steps leading down to these ruins in the distance. And we've seen a similar symbol before in the eye in the gameplay trailer, as well as on Godrick's cloak. They do have a varying number of circles in these different spots, but the general design of rings of circles around a central circle remain intact. I don't think there is enough known at this time to make any real useful guesses about the meaning, but given that it appears on an eye, I think that it is some sort of natural phenomena or occurrence versus simply being a coat of arms or another symbolic identifier. Not to say that it couldn't be both, but I think it is something that is also found naturally, whatever that means in the lands between. We've also seen paths marked with a different symbol before, and you can see it in the gameplay trailer as well as images that have been shared. And I wonder if these are diegetic elements that are meant to help guide players towards the local legacy dungeon, and that the marking on the pathways has something to do with the local lord of the region. I wanted to point out that the player's cloak we see in this image is one we've seen before in this bit in the gameplay trailer that features Tony the wolf tiger. And also I wanted to point out that in the distance here, some people have thought that this is a person on this like bridge or aqueduct or whatever this is, and this is a tree. It's not a person. Come on. And now I wanted to get to some other details that myself and others have noticed recently with our current batch of images and trailers. And the first one I have is that the Centipede King shown here in this room, I didn't realize that there's windows on the left wall and that you can actually see these windows casting light on the columns, and the room is a little more brightly lit than I originally gave it credit for. I also wanted to clarify that this image of this person with this golden spell is likely another small dungeon. We can see that there's differences in the design of the columns and that it looks a little different, but they also do share this similar corpse pile in the background, which makes me think that these are two examples of smaller dungeons. Gitao did mention that they were using a kit of parts to design these dungeons, even though they're all handcrafted, they're not like chalices, but that we will probably see some recurring elements in the small dungeons, and I think that is something we're getting here with that pile of corpses in the background and then the white torches featured in both of these scenes. The next thing I wanted to point out is that in this scene with this big rock golem near the Erd tree, you can see in the background that the tower nearby is melted a bit on the side near the Erd tree. This reminds me a little bit of the destruction we've seen on Stormvale, and I'm not sure if it means anything specific, but I think it is generally more evidence of the conflict of the war of the shattering in the world. And this next detail is something I think a lot of people knew, but I just wanted to point out some additional details just to confirm it, and I confirmed it for myself, is that Jorge, or the Man in the Iron Mask, or whatever you want to call him, is located at this gothic castle that I call Burger King. And the reason I call it Burger King is because that is where this stony guy who looks kind of like the Burger King is located. There are elements shared in both the image and the brief scene showing this castle, and one is the similar mullion design in the glass that you can see in both of these scenes, and then they're also lit from inside in a similar manner, and you can also see that there is a similar ornamentation along the roof that is matched in both of these scenes, in that they share a similar spire design. I think that this shot with Jorge takes place maybe in a connector bridge, an exterior connector bridge that connects two parts of the castle. This last bit isn't something I noticed, but user Salty Tom on the Elden Ring subreddit noticed. And that is that in this image, there is a dude down here. It is hard to see him, he blends in very well, it's a very shadowy area, but there is a guy down there, and you can tell from the red and green coat of arms on his back that he is one of these standard dudes who has the lion and the aired tree red and green cloak. And that is what I have for today, 102 days until Elden Ring comes out, and as we get closer, we will likely get more information, and I will be staying on top of it, so if you would like to stay up to date on Elden Ring, please consider subscribing to the Lore Hunter, and if you thought that this video was informational or you learned something new, please consider giving a like. It all helps to sort of boost my name and get me out on the algorithm so that more people can also enjoy the content. Thanks for watching.